Welcome to this week's live broadcast, an overwhelm solution for moms. I am so glad that you guys are here to join me for this very important talk today about how to change a bad vibe in your home. How do we shift a bad vibe in the family, the marriage, the home? That's exactly what we're going to be diving into today. I cannot wait to talk about this very in your face topic today because your home, you know, the moment you walk in your home, what the feeling is, or the moment that someone has a shift in their mood and the whole thing goes sideways, or your husband walks in the door if he's been at work and you're home first and the air kind of sinks. Sensitive people feel this the most. If you're at all an empath or you have high sensitivity, you're going to pick up on this with your feelers, with your antenna, and you're going to be able to sense when things are kind of funky. Someone's in a mood, a kid is in a bad mood, and you were doing so well and you just don't want to go there. Do you know what I mean? So raise your hand if you have ever experienced that. Say yes in the comments if you've ever experienced that and you know what I mean and you want to know what you can do to shift that vibe in your house when it happens, when things feel low or heavy. You have the capacity, the potential, I'll say, to be that person, to shift something in your home. You may not know how now, but that's what we're going to talk about today. And as you listen, I want you to be really honest with yourself about what you hear. And at the end of this talk, listen to the end because I'm gonna give you an action step. I'm gonna tell you what you need to do next so that you can start to really have an impact in your life and in your family, in your home. Now, we're all moms here, right? So as a mom, you are either the captain of your ship or you are somewhere on the ship and no one is steering, or for some of you, your kids are actually steering the ship, you know what I mean, or your husband is at the wheel. Nothing right or wrong about your husband being at the captain of the ship for the family, unless you don't like how it's going. And if you don't like how it's going, then you need to realize that you have not been at the wheel. You have not been steering your own ship for yourself, of your family, of your home, and it's time to step it up. It's time to step it up and find out how to do that. Good morning, you guys. Thanks for joining me. So fun to see you. All right, so let's dive in. Today, I'm covering two different ways to solve the problem of being in a funk, or your home or your family being in a funk. Feeling like the energy of your home is just blah. It's not what you want it to be. People are irritable. You're irritable. There's bickering. Let's go over what the problem looks like first, and then we'll go into the two ways, and we're going to talk about which one you need and cover both of what they are, and then we'll go into what next. So, covering a little bit of the problem. First of all, when I'm saying vibe, the mood, same thing. The feel of your house, the emotional energy in your home, the mental energy is negative. What it feels like is like anywhere between like walking on eggshells to cutting the tension with a knife. Maybe it's your marriage, and you know what I mean. Those of you who are at that point in your relationship since having a family, where your marriage is just like, it's like walking on eggshells around your partner, or not knowing how to say what you need gets caught right here. It's just tension, it's built up energy. You don't know how to communicate, or you feel like you're not listened to, you're not seen, and you're not heard. And it's painful. That can create a very thick energy at home, stuck, stagnant energy. Maybe there's a lack of connection. And this could be in marriage or in your relationships with your kids. Just a lack of connection or a hard connection. Feels like you don't mean to, but you're always saying the wrong thing, or you're always stepping on someone's toes, or they're stepping on yours. the kind of your hackles are up. It kind of just feels like it's not easy. Things feel hard. It feels hard to talk to your 11-year-old or 13-year-old. Um, I asked some of you guys in the group what's going on for you specifically. And there's a great simple example of one of you who has two very young kids. You have a baby and you have a toddler. So I'm going to give you a concrete example in a moment to make that very real. But tell me in the chat right now, in the comments, if there is one specific dynamic that you know of that really feels like, oh, it brings the energy down. I'd love to hear that right now, whether you put it in before this talk or not. I'd love to hear what is the thing that kind of tanks the mood, and it could be your mood or it could just be like the feel in the family. And it might be, a teenage kid who yells. It might be the way that your partner walks in the door from work, or it may be you're boiling over because like you have mental overload. There's so much more than you can actually accomplish in a day, and you're living in this hypervigilance. You're living in this state of, I can't get it all done, and I'm still expecting myself to, and everyone else is expecting me to, and this system isn't working. So tell me an example from your life of what's something that kind of spins or spirals out, and it feels like, oh, the vibe is just so, I just don't even want to be here. I want to isolate. I want to be alone. And that's another way you can diagnose this problem. So if you feel like you just can't even stand being at home, it's just a mess, or there's so much clutter, or the emotional tension and chaos is so much that you'd rather just go and be alone. You want to go and close your bedroom door. You want to just put in earplugs and hide all day long, hide under the duvet. You dread coming home. I heard this from a lot of clients who came into Awakened Motherhood, full-time working moms. The drive home is, 20 minutes of okay, I got to get my shit together. I got to like decompress from work, and then I got to focus, and then I got to like be ready to meet this chaos of picking up kids, or the chaos of entering my home with kids who are like, Mommy, like I've been waiting to see you, and let all my raw emotions out on you all day long. And great, now you're here. And your tank is empty. You have no capacity inside. You're filled up to the brim with your day or your patience or whatever you've been doing that day. And you're like, oh my God, like I can't do it. I don't have the capacity to do it. That will create a really, really big crash for you, or boiling over at the kids. And it feels terrible because you know they don't deserve it. And you know that you want to be better, but you literally don't have it in you to be better. So let's talk about 2 ways to address this that can shift the vibe for you if you're creating the tone in your family, or with and for your kids, because it's all connected, you guys. You as the kind of the cornerstone for your kids, for your home, for your family, will set the tone. And like it or not, you can be mad about it. We could spend the next 10 years being resentful and mad that our husband is setting a negative tone in the home, and that he's not doing work on himself. And we could be mad for the next 10 years that we got a highly spirited kid. We could just be mad. We could resent it. We could resent the kid for it. And you know what that does? It creates hard relationships or bad relationships. It just dissolves any potential to feel that loving connection and have a future that is bright, that is light, that is you feeling like you get to enjoy your life. It just erodes any and all of that. And I'm saying this because I've seen it, and I've seen how painful it is, where people have not known what to do, and they've just sat in their anger, stewing. And it does create health conditions, health problems, dis-ease in the body. It does create just mental garbage that makes relationships really hard. So from my heart, just from love, I want to invoke you to be honest with yourself right now and look in the mirror if that is what's going on for you, and have a real look at, like, is this what I want? Is this really where I want to be? Do I want to sit and stew in anger? And hear the answer. Be willing to hear the answer. because no one can do that for us. We have to have the moment in the mirror, the come to Jesus with ourselves to ask, is this the way I want to be living this gift of life? It's such a gift, and our children are a gift to us, a gift of awakening, really, if we choose to accept it as that. It's a vehicle for transformation. Motherhood is 1000% the best vehicle for transformation. And if you've been stuck or in a hard place emotionally, then you can probably feel the truth to that, because you're either staying stuck and getting angry about it, or you're opening your eyes to go, this is my moment. This is my time to say yes to a real beautiful stepping into who I can be in my most loving version of me, right? So if you are experiencing any of these things, this talk is really, really for you. Let's go into the two types of two ways to solve the problem of a low vibration, low energy, low mood, tension, conflict, sibling arguments, or that resentment or frustration that you carry in you and in your body. And let's talk about what to do about that. Just quickly catching up to comments here so we can see. Thank you guys for interacting here. It makes this way more fun. So tone of voice, 100%. Tone of voice from a kid, tone of voice from ourselves, tone of voice from a partner or a spouse. All those things can, they can just set you off, can't they? Last night I had an interaction with one of my kids. I was trying to explain. It was late. People were tired. So I'm just giving grace to all of us. But first week back to school for this kid. And there was an interaction, a moment where I knew that it would be better if I just left it. Like, no explanation needed. I don't need to tell her really what, like, she misunderstood me. I could have just left it and walked away. But I was also tired, and it had been building a little bit, like her tone with me. And I said something in an attempt to explain, like, oh, that's not what I meant. What I was saying was, and she jumped in with an elevated tone. Man, that did it for me. I was like, I want to be it's my bedtime. Please, I'm going to go read my book and don't interrupt me for an hour. And that feeling of like, I'm going to boil over. And that happens when your nervous system is kind of running the show, when it's doing its own thing and you haven't trained it or you're tired and it's back to school week and kids are snapping or they're exhausted or whatever. Life is life and motherhood, right? Like, it's messy. Emotions are messy sometimes. And it was perfectly timed for me because it brought me back to this topic of, I have a choice in what I'm going to do about this. I have a choice in what I'm going to do about this. And so tone of voice is a big one. Overwhelm, Victoria says, overwhelm for my 7-year-old. She has a big energy and is very expectant. I like that description. And I'm always done mentally. I just feel into that. Like, I'm always done mentally. It's like there's not enough bandwidth. You don't have enough bandwidth to be present for all that she's bringing you. This is a perfect example to workshop. I'm so glad you brought this one. So, and then you said exactly that, not wanting to be home, then my husband saying I'm being negative all the time, literally going to see a psychiatrist today. Well, this talk is very well timed for you. And I also want you to get on my calendar, Victoria. So I'll drop the call booking link for you. Actually, Lainey, if you're here, can you drop the call booking link for Victoria? I want to have a chat with you about this. It'll be easier to take it offline. And then Sabrina, story from an outsider that my kid wants to tell me I'm parenting wrong. Oh, yikes. That's yucky, isn't it? No thanks for that story, I would say. No, thank you. So I don't know the context, but my knee jerk is like, yuck. I bet that feels so yucky. So, okay, you guys. There are two ways to solve any problem really in life, but we're just narrowing it down to what happens under your roof right now and in your closest relationships, whether that's with a highly spirited kid you don't have the bandwidth for, or whether that is a bad spiral like this in your marriage where there's a whole story that's been created already, and it's been going on for a while, and it's like you get so overwhelmed with the kids, you're so negative all the time, and and you're now like you're the patient. We call that in the therapy word, we call that you're the identified patient. You're the IP. Your husband's identified you as the problem, the patient. You've identified yourself as the problem, the patient. Your kids think, oh my God, mom's off the charts. Everyone kind of unconsciously agrees to it. And now there's a big story, and it's a snowball rolling downhill, and you're the problem. So you are not the problem, but the problem, that story is a problem. The fact that now you're the guilty one, and now you need to go to a psychiatrist. I would absolutely just pause for a moment and question that story. And I will help you, Victoria, get on my calendar. I will help you with this. So, one, you can change the way you're looking at what's going on. That's what I mean by calling this a story. You guys just kind of like assume it, we just assume it's true. I do feel horrible, so I must be the problem. But what's actually happened, or my kid is a nightmare, so my kid is a problem, story. I can change the way I'm looking at that. So approach number one, I can change the way I'm looking at that. And I can change my perspective. And in changing my perspective or the story I'm telling about that, I can change how I feel about it. That's the first way. Got it? I can change how I feel about it. I can change how I'm looking at it. I can get a new perspective. And then I will, as a result, possibly be able to, I could personally, because I do this work all the time, like change the way I feel about it. That takes a certain level of awareness. It takes a certain kind of connection to your like inner self. It takes, if you've done some awareness work, self-awareness work, inner work, you've been to therapy, you could probably do this. Okay, so it depends on how attached you are to your story. But if you're able to shift your perspective, shift how you feel about it, sometimes with small things, we have more success. With bigger things, you might have a harder time. You're gonna need professional help with that to be able to do that. But here's the second way. The second way is to get a better strategy. So you can change the way you look at something, and it may or may not shift the way you feel about it, or it might go back tomorrow. You get a moment's relief to reframe it. Oh yeah, I can see that. Part of me sees that. It makes sense. I'm not really the problem. This is a family system issue. I don't have the skills to know how to parent my 7-year-old the way she requires me to. That's an up level I need to get. That's a me up level that I need to find. Where do I go to do that? Okay, that's getting a better strategy. So I could either go like, she's really hard and I'm doing the best I can. That gives me a moment's relief, right? But then I'm right back into not knowing what to do with her. That brings us to that second way again. Get a better strategy. And what I mean by that is find the solution that fits the problem you have. Just let that wash over you for a minute. If you were to find a solution that fits the problem you have, and you could solve it, and you could know how to communicate with your husband or communicate with your child from a place of empowered love and authority and captain of your ship energy to calm them down because you were grounded, calm, empowered, imagine the difference in the outcome. So only one of these ways is a surefire way to change the outcome. Can you guess which one it is? And you may not need, I'm not sure which one you need. We'll talk about this in a minute. But sometimes we need a reframe. We need a perspective shift. And that's all we need, and we're good to go. But other times, there is like obviously no way out in making this better and upgrading the vibration in my home, the mood in my relationships without having a more effective strategy. Okay, and like this is something that people say in retrospect of doing my Awaken Motherhood program, which is a 16 transformational program, and people will say, I didn't really get it, that it was just a strategy, like a path of strategy and techniques that I needed to take to be able to have really loving relationships and love in my home. I really did think there was a part of me that was broken or that couldn't be fixed, but maybe I could find some relief. And the truth is, it really is strategy, you guys. That if you are butting heads with a kid, if you're butting heads with a partner, if you're feeling down on yourself, if everyone in your house has bought into you're the problem, I just want to call a timeout right here for that, for you, for your sake. I just want to call a hard stop, a timeout for you to just entertain the possibility for a moment that maybe there's something else going on. In family systems theory, and my training goes back a long way. I've been helping moms 20 years as a clinician and now as a coach. In family systems theory, we look at the whole system because you can't be disconnected from your family. You cannot. We are all impacting each other all the time. Say yes if this is making sense to you guys. Some of you have done like parts work or shadow work or other things. You've done the self piece, but if you think about your family, everyone's influencing each other all the time, and we cannot not do that. We are impacted by each other, by the mood in our house, by how we feel, by how our husband walks in the door, by how our kids come home from school. We're impacted by it. Day one, when my 14-year-old started school, high school, that first afternoon was like, I would like to not be here right now. I was really feeling that full on. But I strive to be a present mom. I strive to be a hands-on mom. So I just slowed my roll and I was like, okay, what does she need right now? And then by yesterday, day 3, I had it figured out. I had baked them like a paleo treat. So the house smelled good and she had a yummy treat when she came in. And I was like, oh my God, she just needs nurturance and like tender care and space, which I'm happy to give. So all that to say, and you guys probably can relate if you have kids starting back school now, all that to say that you either need, and I would like absolutely encourage you to think about one specific situation as we're having this training today. Think about an example, because if you can pick one concrete example, this is gonna make a lot more sense for you. There's a mom in the group who gave an example. I have a new baby, a 9-month-old. I have a 3-year-old toddler. The toddler is being rough with the baby. So kicking the baby, hitting the baby in passing. It didn't sound like aggression. I'm not sure. I couldn't tell, but it didn't sound like aggression. It sounded more like a natural, and I'm not diagnosing. I'm saying like, let me just generalize and back up and generalize because I don't know the whole story. But in many cases, often what happens with older sibling with that like earth-shattering arrival of the new baby, where I'm not the only person who my mommy loves here in this house. There is a bit of unraveling that happens, and call it jealousy, call it, rearranging of life as they know it, but a toddler will absolutely have a lot of feelings about that. And depending on who your kiddo is, will take all different kinds of action to express that to you. So the kicking, the hitting, and if we're workshopping a very concrete example like this, we can go, well, in the first way of changing your perspective, you can either decide to look at this as my toddler's trying to get his needs met to get my attention. I'm shifting my perspective from, oh my God, why is he doing this? There's something wrong with him. The baby's gonna get hurt. I can't turn my back. This is horrible. I feel like a prisoner in my own home. To my son has had his world turned upside down, and he is trying to get his needs met by me, and this is the only thing he has available to him, his arms and legs. Like, he can communicate, Mommy, I miss you so much. I'm scared I don't matter as much to you. Can you hold me like a baby? Can you feed me a bottle? Like, he can't say those things. So what he's asking for is attention, right? That's a perspective shift. That might bring me a big sigh of relief if I was in your shoes. Tell me how it feels. If you can't do it, or that's not enough for you, you can get a better strategy. What's a better strategy? I can make sure my son has more attention during the day from me or someone else. I can get a better baby wearer, baby carrier. I can wear that baby in a more comfortable way and just embrace it. That's a better strategy. So you're not worrying about putting the baby down. I could bring someone in to be here when I take a shower, or whatever, when I have to put the baby down. I don't know. There are a million different things I could think of off the top of my head to suggest in terms of strategy change. But when you've got older kids and it's more complex and it's more dynamic, and you got to think on your toes and you got to be creative and you got to embody that I am the captain of my ship. I trust myself. I know what to do. I'll figure it out if I don't know. And I know how to get my kids to listen to me. That's my listen to me voice. I teach my clients how to find that voice and tap into that energy inside of them. And it's right here. It's the solar plexus energy of like, hey, it's time to listen. We're going to do this. You know, it's that like, I'm not afraid to lead my family. I'm not afraid to say to my husband, hey, not like that. Please, not like that. We've got something going on here and it's working well. And you know, like this is the way it's going to go. That leadership and authority voice. And oftentimes, like my clients in Awakened Motherhood will have, you know, first of all, like a lot of people did not have a model for that. So it's not innate. And you need to develop that part of you, that identity. But without the strategy, the how, the scripts, the practice, the how, it just feels like you're probably like you're throwing spaghetti at the wall and most of it isn't sticking. And that's really hard and really confusing. But while you are in the situation, sometimes old trauma can come up. This was just coming up for a client on the call yesterday. Like it's like it feels confusing. Things get heated, they get tense, your kid's yelling at you or having a tantrum or meltdown, your brain kind of goes foggy. Either you're exploding or you're like dissociating. And you need help. You need a better strategy. That's not like you're not enough, you're broken. It's just you don't know how. So I really want to convey that. It's just a lack of strategic skills. That's what motherhood is. It's a game of strategy so that you can have the best possible connection with your kids while they live under your roof, so that you can ensure that they always come to you when they're scared or hurting, so that you cannot let your marriage tank or fall apart just because you have kids, because they're really hard. And so the easiest thing is just to shut that down and focus only here because you only have this much bandwidth. It's just a lack of strategy. That's all it is. So I want to make you guys an offer today to book a call. I told Victoria, book a call with me. I want everyone who hears this, who at all resonates with, oh my gosh, like I just need a better strategy, or I just need to know how to change my perspective. One of the two ways, and there really are no other ways. This is it. You can handle any problem one of the two ways. And if you want my help in finding out based on where you are, and really just bring one problem to the call. We're going to workshop one problem. We're going to spend 15-20 minutes doing a quick look at what's the thing that's bringing the vibe down, that's causing the mood of your home, the heaviness of your family, the emotional heaviness in you, or the anger, whatever it is. What's kind of one piece of that dynamic or one problem. And I will give you the guidance once I can assess what that is. If your answer is to focus more on changing your perspective, and I'll tell you how to do it, or on upgrading your strategy. And with knowing that, I can match you to the right resource. We'll have the call and then I'll follow up with you and offer you a resource or a next step, so that you can know how to take some action steps that feel real and that feel empowering for you. And I am here to help you guys. So 100%, like there is no reason to not take advantage of this free resource. The call is free. I am here. I will give you my expertise that comes from 20 years of helping guiding clients through a transformative process to the other side, to that lightness and to having beautiful, loving relationships. And this really is an incredible first step. So don't hesitate. Put yourself first. My goodness, this once. Put yourself first. Get yourself a 15-20 minute slot on my calendar. And we will assess for you where you're stuck and then which strategy, which approach is going to be better for you. Is it a pivot in your perspective, a reframe, or is it, and I can give you an example of that one when we're on the call, or is it to have a different technique and strategy altogether to shift this problem for good? Okay, so tell me right now. Just want to check in with you guys to see where you are. Tell me right now. Do you kind of are you clear on what these two strategies are and the difference in them? I want to make sure that I was clear. Drop a yes if it feels clear. Tell me no if you have questions, and I can cover those now. And then just let me know if you are clear on what your one problem is that you want to address on the call, and if you know what that is. And if you don't know what it is, it's okay. You can bring like a more general issue that comes up, like fighting and conflict. You know, it happens with the husband, it happens with the kids, it happens with between the siblings, and that's okay. We can deal with that too. And then I'm going to give you the straight talk on which one, so you don't waste your time. You don't want to waste the next year. You don't want to waste the next year of missing this kind of like beautiful, loving connection that you could be having with your kids, or the well-being you could be having for yourself. Right? It's right here. Sometimes you just need a shift. All right, so get on my calendar. I can't wait to chat with you guys. Please drop your takeaways from this call. Drop your takeaways. What did you hear? What did you learn? What feels true to you? Say one thing so I know what helps you, and I can support you guys in your journey to having the most embodied, loving, calm, present motherhood experience that you can have in your life and your relationships. I'm here for you. Okay, you guys, until next time.